Hi everybody, this afternoon on the marketplace, IMF Board expected to conclude Ghana review today and approve the release of $360 million for the country. Also coming up, we'll have an update from Parliament as Quartey is removed as chairman of the Finance Committee. We also have a possible date for the mid-year budget review. My name is Darrell Kwao. Thanks for being with us. Details coming up. And thanks for staying with us, everyone. My name is Darrell Kwao. Let's begin first with this. The IMF Board is set to pass Ghana on the second review under the fund program and release $360 million to the country. But this will happen after the board concludes its meeting on Ghana later today. Here's George Rafi with more.
Pre-board meeting documents picked up by Joy Business shows that Ghana has been able to meet those targets to pass the country. One can talk about the financing assurance from the bilateral creditors and the agreement in principle from the Eurobond holders when it comes to restructuring the $13.1 billion debt. Ghana has also made some significant progress when it comes to those quantitative and qualitative targets under the fund program, where in some cases it has overperformed. When the approval is secured today, maybe latest by July 3, 2024, the $360 million should hit Bank of Ghana's account. But for those who have followed Ghana's program with the IMF, it is not just about the amount coming in. This could trigger other donors to release frozen funds to the country and the resumption of stalled project finance by these bilateral creditors in the country.
All right, parliamentary correspondent Quartey joins us on Zoom to discuss this and some other developments in Parliament. It's been quite a busy day. Good afternoon to you, Kwaku. So first off, we have a date for the mid-year budget review or possible dates. This will be the last for the Akufo-Addo government. I believe the first for the Finance Minister, Mohamed Amin Adam.
Yes, between either 12th or 15th of July, Dr. Amin Adams, the new finance minister, is expected to undertake what will be his major undertaking before Parliament by presenting the mid-year budget review. The 2024 budget has been implemented for about 6 months now. The minister is mandated under the Public Financial Management Act to appear before members of Parliament and appraise members on how exactly the budget is doing. If there is more money he needs, he can ask Parliament for a supplementary budget. But he is expected to at least tell MPs how the economy is doing, the update on the economy, and importantly, a budget review. So the 2024 budget, how well have you been doing? Are there specific changes that the minister will be announcing? So Frank Anodom, who is the majority chief whip in presenting a business statement for the ensuing week, did announce that they are working with the finance minister to firm up a date on either the 12th or 15th of July to present the mid-year budget review. And ahead of that next week, they will hold a joint caucus meeting, which is normally held ahead of such important events, where both leaders, both sides of the house, I should say, will come around the table and make their concerns known so that the minister may factor that into the presentation when he does that. So 12th or 15th of July, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam is now expected to present the mid-year budget review directly.
Right, and that presentation will just be weeks away, a couple of weeks after, as we anticipate the release of $360 million from the IMF. After his board concludes a meeting on Ghana today. What's the anticipation in the House with regard to the release of the funds by the IMF? How would that shape the budget?
Well, in fact, on the floor when this announcement was made, there was the call from the Deputy Minority Leader, that there must be a certain update from the Finance Minister on how well Ghana is doing in terms of the IMF deal and what exactly is stalling the release of the third tranche of funds for government to implement the International Monetary Fund agreement that they are currently on, the bailout that government sought a few years back. And so there are already concerns that that should come already. Within this week, when we spoke to Isaac Adongo, who is the ranking member of the Finance Committee, he says he does not believe that even if the tranche of money is released from the IMF as soon as possible, it will really change the fortunes of the economy. He says, of course, it might reset the economy for a week or two, but $360 million is not so much. Even petroleum demand for dollars will gobble that up within a week or two. And so he says, of course, that money is expected to come as soon as practicable, but they don't feel that that will make any changes. That is the minority spokesperson on finance, making that position clear. The deputy minority leader also demanding that the finance minister must come before parliament, provide a certain appraisal, I should say, of the IMF deal. Abeno Siasari was on the floor to say that all this will be included in the media budget review when the finance minister comes before the House, either 12th or 15th of July.
Also, very interesting developments in Parliament today. Quartey Removed has been removed as chairman of the Finance Committee. He's now going to chair a committee on the economy. What's going on?
So that's a bombshell. Darryl, you will recall, in the last few months, Quartey has been under pressure, intense pressure from among his own colleagues, who have accused him of siding with the NDC MPs to block key government business before the Finance Committee, notably the tax waivers. There are up to $400 million worth of tax waivers that has been sitting at the Finance Committee for the entire life of this Parliament, which has not been coming. Quartey has not spoken officially, but from grapevine sources, he has not been in support of these tax waivers and therefore giving the support to the minority to block this. In fact, about 3 weeks ago, Ahmed Ibrahim spoke to Evans Spence on PM Express and alleged that there was a plot to remove Quartey because of his stance on these tax waivers. Today, there was a bombshell drop on the floor when the majority leader, Alexander Fenyamaki, out of the blue, he was not responding to any question. He just announced that Quartey will now go and chair the Economic Committee. The Economic Committee, compared to the Finance Committee, is not that powerful. It is not that integral to the work of Parliament. And so this has been coming as a bombshell to MPs on both sides of the House. And the sources we are getting from the majority side is that the majority leader wanted to drop this in anticipation of the changes so that when the changes eventually do happen, people are not taken aback by it. The minority have described it as an overthrow, as the coup d'etat of the chairman of the Finance Committee. He's still the chairman of the Finance Committee between now and the day that the committee changes will officially be made. But now that the information has come, it is clear that when the reconstitution of the committee is done, Quartey will no longer be the chairman of the Finance Committee and will now chair the new committee on the economy.
That was not expected. So then who takes over the Finance Committee? Do we have any idea right now?
Well, a lot of names have been floated in the last 30 minutes since the announcement was made. Patrick Bouma is currently the vice chairman of that committee. There are talks that he may be actually giving that go-ahead to chair the committee. There's also talk that maybe Stephen Amoa maybe have to chair the Finance Committee, but that may mean that he would have to be removed from his position as Deputy Finance Minister to return to Parliament to chair that. So a number of names being floated around, the leadership of the majority side quite hardly not willing to give out any names in terms of who will likely succeed Quartey if he is officially removed as the chairman of the Finance Committee. And so we expect that in the next few days, probably next week or next 2 weeks, the Committee on Celestia will present its report on the changes to the committees in Parliament, and we will get to know finally who will now become the chair of the Finance Committee.
Also, cement price is still a hot topic in Parliament. The minority still asking the Trade Minister to withdraw the proposed ally he was seeking to get passed by the House. Tell us about it.
Well, yes, this morning I've been talking to some members of the Trade and Industry Committee who are asking the President to actually intervene and ask the Minister to withdraw that ally. They describe it as obnoxious. They say that the real reason why cement prices are going up has nothing to do with cement manufacturers being a cartel who just want to increase prices. It's because of the exchange rate, because of the factors in the economy. And so the minister is just seeking to obfuscate the issue and put the blame where it is not. And so that is that demand that they are making now, that the President must get him to withdraw this ally. But the minister is expecting that today he probably get the blessing of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee to lay this ally. But that may not be likely because the minority, we chair that committee. In fact, the chairman of the committee is the minority MP, Dr. Dominica Yene, are expected to probably present their pre-laying report to the House either today or next week. The minister must get this ally laid as soon as possible, or he will not get the 21 sitting days required for this ally to become law. KT amount is racing against time, while the minority say they are not going to budge on this issue.
All right, Kwaku Asante, Parliamentary Affairs Correspondent. Appreciate the updates from Parliament. Quite a busy day there this Friday. You're watching The Marketplace. Now, economist Dr. Edu Sarkodie is expecting the city to respond positively to the debt restructuring deal with external creditors from next month. The local currency is here to post some recovery days after government secured a deal with bilateral creditors and Eurobond holders. Speaking on PM Express Business Edition, Dr. Sarkodie said that the development would take some time before it reflects on the market.
Here to see the impact because we have not concluded the debt restructuring. It's just an agreement in principle.
But the minister was so optimistic that he was like, even immediately, the currency should respond. But it's not happening.
Yeah, I think the minister was making reference to speculative demand because, the financial market reacts to misinformation and disinformation. So when there's so much uncertainty about whether or not government of Ghana will secure the agreement, these uncertainties will fuel speculative demand. But so the finance minister was like, okay, now we are certain that we have the agreement in principle. So it will kill the uncertainties, and that will also eventually kill the speculative demand and also the misinformation and the disinformation around the whole agreement. I think that's the angle he was coming from. He didn't say that everything is okay now. So,
but Prof, again, Prof, again, and sorry for my rude intervention, please. From your independent analysis for you, when are we expecting this to trickle? I mean, there's always a lag time. We've had an agreement in principle. When should we see this development impact on the local currency?
As soon as possible, we expect.
As soon as possible, but since Monday, the currency has still been flat.
But it's better. I think the cedi might have depreciated, but it's relatively smaller than how it depreciated earlier. So yes, this is just the uncertainties around it, and then when the actual thing kicks in, I'm sure we'll have much better savings on our currency.
At the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, Silva Ojako has urged the continent's diplomats, business leaders, and academia to unite, exchange ideas, share practices, and chart innovative courses towards a more integrated, prosperous, and inclusive Africa. He argues that leveraging diplomacy as a tool can accelerate the implementation of the One African Market agenda. He was speaking at the launch of the first ever African Diplomacy and Business Dialogue in Accra. There's more in the following report.
The first African Diplomacy and Business Dialogue will be held in Accra, Ghana, in May 2025 under the theme, Harmonizing African Diplomacy for the Success of the AfCFTA. Organized by Salt University College, the event aims to bring together the continent's top diplomats, academia, and business leaders to share ideas and fast-track the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Speaking at the launch, President of Salt University College, Ambassador Dr. Kojo Alabo, emphasized the urgent need for alignment, coordination, and synergy between diplomacy and political will to realize the One African Market objective. He highlighted some key objectives of the inaugural dialogue.
The significance of this African diplomacy and business dialogue can therefore not be overstated. It represents a platform where African diplomats, business leaders, and academia converge to exchange ideas, share best practices, and chart an innovative course towards a more integrated, prosperous, and inclusive Africa. The strategic objectives that the dialogue seeks to achieve are as follows. 1, stimulate contemporary research, trade, and diplomacy-focused discussions among stakeholders. 2, galvanize the diplomatic community of current and former envoys into a strategic bulwark against the erection of new barriers and the breaking down of existing barriers to intra-African trade, while advancing the attainment of AFTA's objectives.
Chief of Staff at the AFTA Secretariat, Silva Ojako, commended Salt University College for championing the dialogue, stating it will help tighten diplomacy on the continent and accelerate the successful implementation of the AFTA.
We launched the Guided Trade Initiative in October 2022 with only 8 countries. Ghana was one of them: Ghana, Cameroon, Egypt, Rwanda, Tunisia, Kenya. Today, we have received requests for interest by 39 other countries. What is the Guided Trade Initiative? We just wanted to demonstrate that we can now trade under AfCFTA preferences using our own instruments, certificate of origin, e-tariff book, and so on. By harmonizing African diplomacy and leveraging the collective strength of our nations, the Africa diplomacy dialogue, business dialogue, is expected to strengthen diplomatic ties and partnership that support trade and economic integration and development in our continent. And this will accelerate the successful implementation of the AfCFTA, bringing us closer.
The inaugural dialogue aims to set the stage for an annual event where diplomacy will be championed as a dependable alternative to deliver solutions to African challenges. For Joy News, Carlos Caloni, Accra.
All right, it's a Friday. Can we do some show business right now? Content creators in Ghana may be in for some good news. Social media platform Meta appears to be enabling monetization of content. Now, the development has sparked a reaction from creators and music executives alike regarding its prospects. Culture journalist Kenneth Awochudaku joins us for the show business segment with more on this. So walk us through how we got here, Ken.
Darren, it's interesting that a few weeks ago on the same show, there was a conversation about monetization of content on Facebook and how content creators and musicians and actors, skit makers, all those people alike, were basically rallying, in support of the call for there to be monetization in this part. So in Africa, for instance, there has been monetization for only 2 countries so far, South Africa and Egypt, for which reason there was that, conversation weeks ago that there was a need that Ghanaians and Nigerians were also putting out some great content, because so far, in order to have your content or video monetized on Facebook, you had to use other countries as locations. There was a whole long process in order for somebody from most parts of Africa to get their content monetized. So basically, the conversation was about the fact that people are contributing, to the platform, but are not getting much back in terms of money and other, avenues. So basically, that was how we got here. Now, people woke up this morning, content creators woke up this morning to find that the button that, had the countries eligible had Ghana and Nigeria included, which is some good news.
Oh, wow, that's some good news. So how does one get your content monetized? Shall we get to it?
Yeah, so essentially there are very well-defined steps. For instance, this is personally my my Facebook account, Kenneth Awochudaku on Facebook. This is my back end. So for one, you have to be in a country that's eligible for monetization. You have to also be able to follow the content monetization policies, because they are very distinct, safety precautions that Facebook takes in order to ensure that there's not, issues in terms of violence and abuse are not perpetrated on the platform, basically. There's also, you have to hit like over 5,000 followers to be able to do this as well. Exactly. So these are just a few of the criteria. But as you can see, this is mine. Apparently, I have some corrections to do in terms of, the videos that I've put up there, in terms of, sometimes there are copyright issues, there are, safety issues, amongst others. So these are some of the things that you have to meet to be able to.
So there's a part that says content criteria. Your eligible videos, including on-demand, live, and previously live, have been viewed at least 60,000 minutes in the last 60 days. That's good, right?
Yeah, that's good. So if it's marked green, it means that you are eligible for that particular category.
That makes you eligible?
So all this makes me eligible unless the one that has the X, you follow Facebook's content monetization policies, which include copyright issues, amongst others, that other creators who have successfully monetized may be tracking because they have ownership of those particular content.
All right, and so like you point out, people just got wind of it this morning. So what's been the reaction like on?
The reaction has been great. Wudimaya, a very popular content creator on YouTube, and he now has the ability to monetize on Facebook as well. I don't know if he was doing that already, but clearly he's very excited. He says Facebook monetization is finally in Ghana. Forget Twitter or X and take advantage of this huge opportunity. So this is one of the social media personalities that are excited about this. There's also No Africa official. He says the official write-up of eligible countries still doesn't have Ghana. You apply, it goes straight to pre-enroll. So these are some of the people that have a bit of issues, even though others have had theirs. That's why we are talking about the fact that it looks like it's a gradual thing that is happening. So some content creators have it, others are yet to see that as well.
Is there another reaction?
Yes, there's another reaction that's coming from Charles Wondengba, and he says if you are in Ghana, then you are now eligible for Facebook monetization. To know if you're eligible, go to your professional dashboard, scroll down to monetization, and click on in-stream ads. If you're an eligible country and follow Facebook monetization policy, then it's left for you to create more content. You can also check the rest of the monetization policies out. Good luck. That was what I showed you with the backend that we saw earlier. This is also Presdo. He says Facebook monetization also activated in Ghana. Now all major platforms are paying. You have no excuse to get a side hustle.
All right, nice. So what's been Meta's reaction to this? What have they been saying to all of this?
So interestingly, there has been no official communique from Meta as of yet in terms of what exactly they are trying to do. I mean, the fact that people are beginning to see Ghana as part of the eligible countries means that some progress that has been made. But a lot of people are waiting on an official word from Meta in order to know whether or not they are actually getting, the monetization done, as of when they are getting it done or how the rollout is going to be, because I'm sure there are going to be other modalities or guidelines that's going to be following. And so some people are saying that they have already started, they have met all the criteria, but their application is being reviewed. So they're also waiting for their results as well.
So going forward, what should creators be doing to really benefit from this? And how does this benefit our economy too?
Exactly. So we've had a lot of conversation on this platform exactly about, having multiple streams of income when it comes to show-based personalities, which is with this platform basically is about the show business, talking about the business side of the show that happens everywhere. So this is basically presenting another avenue for content creators, people in the showbiz space, actors, musicians, music executives to also contribute to the platform and also get something out of it, because on other platforms you realize that on YouTube, for instance, monetization is very streamlined over there. On TikTok is one thing that's also fetching creators a lot of money, and people have been crying out for Facebook to do that as well. So there's an opportunity for people in the creative space to show their work out there and also get paid for it, aside from the traditional sources of income that they are generating.
All right, thank you so much, Ken Awachidako, the only country journalist in the country.
You're welcome, Darryl.
I appreciate your time. Have a great weekend. All right, before we go, a quick story of stakeholders in the agriculture value chain are calling for the creation of special purpose vehicles which will offer reduced interest rates and other incentives to make agriculture more attractive to the youth. The country director of AGRA, Dr. Betty Anand, charged government to carefully examine the potential of the agri sector and implement tailored programs to spur growth. She spoke at the Median National Steering Committee meeting aimed at reducing youth unemployment through agriculture.
Despite significant economic growth in the past few years, Ghana's unemployment rate continues to increase. At 14.7%, the West African country will require sustainable policies to create the needed jobs to further reduce the rate. Meanwhile, according to the Ghana Statistical Service, the agriculture sector employs almost 40% of Ghana's population. However, the country is yet to realize its full potential. In this regard, AGRA, in partnership with the National Development Planning Commission, has constituted a national steering committee to coordinate the efforts of stakeholders to address youth employment by making agriculture and agribusiness attractive. Dr. Betty Annan, Country Director for AGRA, called for policies to make the sector attractive.
We all know that traditionally, agriculture has been the domain of the older generation. There is, however, a growing movement to get more youth involved. To enhance greater youth engagement in the agricultural sector, active youth groups and sectors in the sector need focused attention to address some of these challenges and to do so comprehensively. As we all are aware, you will agree with me that there have been several interventions across the country to address youth unemployment.
Stephen Ampem-Darko is the principal planning analyst at the Monitoring Evaluation Unit at the National Development Planning Committee.
We are looking at how well we can coordinate various activities in addressing youth unemployment, addressing the role of even the stakeholders such as the people living with disability, as well as also, people in agriculture.
All right, and that's our program. Quick look at our headlines list. Demand and supply dictate. Chamber of Commerce President opposes control of cement prices. myjoyonline.com /business. You can get a good read over the weekend. Goodbye.